Hello everybody, I'm Victor Rallo. We're here at my home today and we're sitting at the big long table. I love this table because every time I'm at this table it's a good time, whether we're eating, drinking, or doing both, which I recommend highly. So if you're ever invited, make sure you come. And yes, you are invited. Today we're doing the first round. This is part one and we're going to do an Oddero tasting. So part one is 95, 96, and 99 Oddero Barolo Normale, the normal Barolo. With me today I have Trish Camerata, Tony Camerata, he's notorious, Roberto Scarpati, Mark Moncinelli, and Dennis Ryan, the shoe guy.
The token Irish guy.
That's the guy. So how we're going to run this tasting is we're going to go through 95, 96, and 99. We're gonna taste them quickly, we're going to smell them, and then we're going to go around the room and we're going to give our views on the wine a little bit. It's going to be short and sweet. Here we go, 95.
This is very exciting about talking about, especially about the Classico from Cristina and Isabella Oddero. This is quite amazing. We're tasting 1995 vintage Classico. There was only Botte Grande introduced into this. There was no French oak.
So, so it's all large barrels, no French oak in this.
Yep.
So your view is it's made in a very traditional style.
That is correct. Except for the fact that the label have changed over the time, but the 1995 in particular was a very feminine, with soft tannin, with a lot of more fruit. But I'll let you judge as you taste.
Still very tannic, very young.
Very tannic, very young. Lots of fruit.
And for this year, you say it's still very young. The optimum year, where would it be?
Well, actually, it's very difficult to say that, but usually a Barolo from a very Barolos in general from Nebbiolo grape are very persistent. They can last up to 25 to 30 years in a bottle. I had the pleasure to taste Oddero from 1950s, 1960s, which they're still alive. And they're absolutely unbelievable. And it's something that all of you viewers should always, always, always taste. If you can have the opportunity to get into a bottle of wine that is a little bit older, it's absolutely unbelievable. The tannin and the structure that Nebbiolo grape has is nowhere to be found. Only maybe Cabernet Sauvignon from Bordeaux can match that, but it's very difficult because you need to find a specific vineyard. We're talking about terroir here, and Victor might be my guest on this. Terroir in Italy can be very unique, especially when we're talking about this.
You know, we talk to a lot of wine producers and we taste a lot of wine, and you know, the common thread of all the great winemakers is terroir. And everyone thinks there's this magic dust or something that happens in the cellar. Their job is to get the wine in the bottle. Really, nature gives us great wine, and the great vineyards, the great places in the world where wine grows, it's all terroir driven. And I would say 95 to 97% of great wine is what happens in that vineyard. And I mean, we're tasting that today. The Oddero base Barolo, the Normales, come from 5 or 6 sites. Vineyards that they have in the crew areas of Barolo, and it's blended together. So if they don't make a single vineyard or a single selection for a single vineyard Barolo, or if there's extra grapes that might not have been their top quality, they put it into their Barolo Normale. And oftentimes the Barolo Normale from a great producer is the best value that you can find in wine. And for sure, Oddero's Barolo or Vietti's base Barolo.
That is actually absolutely 100% correct. And if we want to be very specific, the regular DOCG Barolo Classico from Oddero comes from 2 single vineyard sites, which the average age of the vine are between 35 and 50 years old. The first one is Bric della Chiesa and the second one is Bric del Fiasco, which is also shared with another producer. And the beauty of this is that a lot of people believe that you need to spend an exaggeration of money for a good bottle of Barolo. It's not true. Today it's value, today it's quality. $30, $40 is what everybody can afford up to a certain level, and allows us also to taste something quite unique.
Okay, let's go around the room here. Trish, what do you think about that Barolo? 1995. Any thoughts?
Nice and sweet, nice and dry. I love it.
Tone?
Velvety.
Velvety.
That's the word that comes to mind. It's velvety.
You get that cashmere.
Yeah.
Right?
It's very smooth, very smooth.
Roberto, what do you think?
Well, I get cashmere because I wear it. So that's why I feel it. And I gotta be honest, it's very, very, very unique for a 95 vintage.
I think the 95, I smelled a little cork on the nose. It dissipated a bit.
We need to agree on that.
Yeah.
We need to agree
I
on
get
that.
these, this cherry and almost this dried, overripe fruit. And what really amazes me is after it's a 95, after so many years, it's still got great complexity and tannic structure. And to me, that means that this wine will age for at least another 10 years.
I think that, as a general matter, the 95 vintage is not a vintage that commentators have put up as a top-notch vintage compared to some of the other classic vintages. And so what I'm interested about in this wine is that from this vintage, I think it's held up exceedingly well. It's got a lot more life in it. It's got a really tight structure, and it's kind of a dry parchment mouthfeel, and it's got sort of bitter black cherry on the nose, and it's really delicious. I feel it's like a really well-made, classic, traditional Barolo. And I'm really delighted to have it.
And not only the fact that you made a very good point, you're also a wine collector and you love to keep your wine on storage. Let's tell our friends that the storage is very, very, very important. This gentleman right here store wine in immaculate condition.
Dennis, what do you think of this 95?
You know, for most American type wine drinkers, what they need to know is that when you're looking at traditional wine like this, you're not getting all of these oakiness and whatever. It's just a unique flavor to it that I think really is, I think, the most special part of it, because most of the wine we see out there in the marketplace now is all of this sort of, you know, oak, and they're adding a lot to it in order to make it taste good, and this is just pure taste. It really is. That's what I feel from it.
And I think you're absolutely right. You know, I spoke to a great Barolo producer, and he says, when you grow great Nebbiolo, and it comes from great terroir, you don't need to add personality to that grape. It needs to be treated in a gentle manner because it has so much personality of its own. And a lot of times we find that winemakers, because a critic likes oak or doesn't like oak or likes fruit, they overly oak wines, or they let them hang on a vine for extra long times, and they go to such extremes and they cover the personality of the grape. And I think clearly Oddero in this 95, the personality is intact, and we taste the terroir, we taste the grape, and this is all about Nebbiolo.
Yeah.
Okay, 96. Let's go to our 96 here.
1996, the monster in Piemonte. 96. 96 was probably, a lot of people have, for some mysterious reason, go, oh, 97, everywhere in Italy is going to be perfect. Here's the red button comes. Not true. Piemonte actually outlived Tuscany. I'm from Tuscany, and I can tell you that some 97 Tuscan cannot live up to their reputation as much as what Piemonte have done. 96 is an absolutely blockbuster, as a lot of our friends would say. It's beautiful, rich, exotic, has muscles, has structure, and it's very funny, but when you smell 96 next to 99, you get a lot more on the nose of the feminine 99 vintage instead than the 1996, which actually is very tight on the nose and very pronounced and elegant on the palate.
What I think is beautiful about going through 95, 96, and 99 is that it presents you with these different bouquets from the same vineyard, from the same grape, that really reflects the different conditions of the vintage. You know, I know that 96 is meant to be a blockbuster vintage in the sense of it's a closed vintage that's meant to age for many, many, many years. I mean, this might be one of those vintages that ages for 30 or 40 years, and that is really releasing its pleasure 25, 30 years down the road. So the 95 is vastly more accessible. The 99 has a completely different nose, right? A very open, also very earthy nose. And the 96 is, it's closed down. It's a brooding, you know, like the Bordelais would say. It's a brooding, brooding nose. It needs to open up, but that means there's a lot in it. I think there's a lot in it.
I think you have three classic examples here of how nature played a role on one grape, Nebbiolo, in Piemonte.
What I'd like to do to finish up is go around the room. We had the 95, 96, and 99, and I'd like you to rate the vintages. You know, Wherever you pick them, first, second, and third. Trish?
I like 99 the best. I like the smell. It smells like plums, honey, spices. I like the thickness of it. It's not too light. It's dry.
How about 95 and 96?
And that's my second.
95?
And 96 is my
Third. Tony?
I found this to be very musky, the 99. Leather. Almost was thinking of like the Old Spice of wine. Shoes.
Maybe that's why you like it the
They're
best.
selling shoes
I think he knows that.
It's like drinking
I'm not sure the reason why. Other viewers probably
He's gonna
understand.
drink it out of a shoe next time.
Not responsible.
Get the full.
It's not as dry as the 96 and it's not as fruity as the 95. It would also be my pick. It's typically my style of wine after graduating from some of the heavier, kind of like American deep Cabernets that everybody's used to nowadays. I would definitely go with the 99. I do like the 95. The 95 is so easy to drink. It's just a pleasure. And I agree with Mark 100% that the 96 is something that really needs to age.
Roberto?
If I would have to go with my personal taste, I would say 1996 because it still has the longevity, the long structure in the body, but I do have to agree all across. 95, beautiful, soft, first, number one. 99, second for the nose and the silkiness, almost the cashmere feel that we talked about before. And then 1996, if you ever have a bottle, just keep it as long as you are on this planet because it's absolutely an enjoyment.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have to agree with Roberto. 95 is my first choice. I think 95 shows Nebbiolo at its best. I think it shows the Oddero terroir. I think it's a perfect example of a beautiful Barolo that aged, that came of age and gracefully aged perfectly. 99 was a close second, very close second. The nose on the 99 actually, I might say, was a little better than the 95, but the finish and the longevity of 95 really strikes me for today. I mean, I'm drinking wines for today. The 96 clearly is a great vintage. But for today, again, it needs to be put away, it needs to be saved. I'm not great at saving wine. I have too many friends and a very bad wine habit.
It's not true, don't believe it.
No, he has a lot of friends.
Guarantee you, it's not true.
So 95, 99, 96 for Vic. Marco.
I think what's great about these three vintages, which we sort of were raving about the quality of each one of them, is that they're very, very different wines. And so it gives you an opportunity not only to appreciate the vast differences in Barolo from one grape, from the same maker with the same objectives, which is fantastic, but it also illustrates that you can love vastly different outcomes from the same producer because there's something to be taken from each of these vintages, and they're totally different vintages. I happen to love very structured, tannic, backward, heavy wines. And as a result of that, I love the 96. I don't love the 96 for today. I love the 96 for 15 to 20 years from today. And so the 96 for me is the most classic, traditional backward wine on the table, period. The 99 is a great flavor profile. The flavors are all over the place. It's got damp earth in it. It's got a little bit of truffle. It's got a little bit of mushroom. I really find that to be very compelling Nebbiolo. So for me, but it's very accessible. The 99 is great to drink now. The 95 still needs time, but it's very accessible as well. So there's my rating. 96 for the traditionalist, 99 for today, and the 95 a very close second to the 99, although different.
I'm going to compare the three of them to women.
I love that.
I look at the 95 as sort of an athlete, sort of well-defined. The 96 is like a model. Thin, still needs a little bit more development.
Needs to eat.
And then in the 99, I'm looking at Selma Hayek. I think it's like full-blown, there's a lot there, very creamy, and compared to the other two, just more voluptuous.
So what kind of woman do you like, sir?
Well, my favorite out of the three is the 95, although probably 99 is where I would lead towards in terms of females.
Listen, thank all of you guys for listening. RalloWines.com, Victor Rallo. We do a lot of this. Thank you, and everybody, la forza.
Cheers.
Salute.
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 Cheers. Cheers.